If you dedicate your full attention to your career, you can go very far professionally. That's a path chosen by a small percentage of men who commit entirely to their work, putting in 70 or even 80 hours a week, pushing themselves to the limit. They're gambling on the slim chance of becoming extraordinary in a very specific field. But that choice comes at a high cost. They often sacrifice personal life, and building a family becomes extremely difficult. When asked what they regret most, many say there's one thing they truly wish they had done. Perhaps that narrow focus is the price one must pay for excellence in a single area. If you aspire to be a genius-level scientist or mathematician, for instance, you'll likely spend most of your time in the lab, immersed in your work. Long hours, deep focus, and a one-dimensional lifestyle are often the only way to outperform everyone else aiming for the same goal. But the downside is, you don't get much of a life outside of that. Now, if being a scientist is your passion and you have that kind of mental dedication, then you're quite rare, and you'll pay a price for it. But if you can accept that, more power to you. Still, it's a risky route, and it demands many personal sacrifices. For most people who want a balanced, healthy life, this isn't the recommended way. Instead, they spread their time more evenly, nurturing a family, engaging in meaningful activities outside of work, and building a strong circle of friends. These few areas alone are enough to provide stability. So, if one part of your life crumbles, the others can keep you grounded. The trade-off is this: the more you strive for balance, the less likely you are to achieve massive success in just one domain. But if you think of life as a whole, that might be a more fulfilling strategy. Carl Jung once said something that really stuck with me. He believed men tend to chase perfection, while women seek wholeness. They value different things at the top of their personal hierarchies. Perfection means going all in on one pursuit, aiming for dramatic success. Not that all men do this, but it represents an extreme. Wholeness, on the other hand, is like saying, I'd rather have 5 areas of my life running at 80% than one thing at 150%. That kind of life is much richer, even if you're not a superstar in any one area. I've watched men and women navigate their careers for a long time, and one trend stands out. Many women step away from hyper-focused careers in their 30s. They don't want to work 80-hour weeks just to dominate a single niche. And it's not because they can't. They simply decide it's not worth it. Honestly, who can blame them? It's incredibly tough. Were you expecting applause for choosing that path, hoping someone would cheer you on? You have to ask yourself, who are you trying to impress? Personally, I want to make a meaningful impact on space exploration and help make it accessible for everyone. Of course, I hope to receive support in that mission. But still, you have to think seriously. Do you really want to be a top-tier scientist? Because that becomes your entire identity. You once told me that when you returned, we'd be the same age, and now I'm the age you were when you left. It would be a great time for you to come back, but the reality is, you're competing with people who are intelligent, driven, and relentless. To rise to the top, you have to outthink and outwork all of them. Working hard means long hours, yes, but also consistent effort. Ultimately, time adds up. If I'm smart and putting in 70 hours a week while you're doing only 30, in 2 years, I'll be so far ahead, you'll never catch up. Maybe part of the reason women avoid this path more than men comes down to 2 things. First, higher socioeconomic status doesn't necessarily make women more desirable in the dating world, but it often does for men. And second, women are on a tighter biological timeline. Men can say, I'll have kids later, even into their 70s or 80s. But for women, it's different. They have to figure it out by 35, definitely by 40, or it may never happen. And that's devastating. One of the most painful sources of unhappiness is wanting children and not having them. I wouldn't recommend going down that road.